All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you are doing well today. Just wanted to put out a quick video overviewing the lesson that we're going to be doing today and tomorrow, and then you'll see another one later on in the week for the second lesson. But just kind of want to give you some foundational things that you're going to need to have in place before we move on through the material this week. So we are starting a new chapter 9 in our textbook. So if you don't have those, you will need to get those. As I mentioned already in our Zoom session, you will need to get those as soon as possible, because your work this week and moving forward, at least in part, will be from our textbook. I will be implementing, as I mentioned before, again, various resources. We won't just be using Khan Academy. We won't just be using their textbook. We're going to kind of mix it up a little bit. So you will need your textbooks, as I mentioned, and we are going to be in chapter 9, section 1. So 9.1, it's on page 554, I believe. Yes, it is. So you may want to get there as well. I hope you have a pencil and some paper in case you need to take some notes, but of course you also have this video, so you can pause and repeat, replay, or whatever as you need. But the lesson says add and subtract polynomials. That's what it's called. And so before we talk about adding and subtracting polynomials, I want to first just talk about what a polynomial is. And so I have a little board here that will hopefully help us with just a few examples. But if I were to write 2x to the third plus x squared minus 5x plus 12, for example. This is a polynomial, and all a polynomial is an expression made up of multiple terms. Okay, each of these would be considered a term or a monomial. So the prefix mon or mono meaning one, poly meaning many or multiple. So this would be a term. This would be a term. So that's 2x to the third is one term, x squared is another, negative 5x is another, and 12 is another. So this these multiple terms make up a polynomial. Okay, so that's all that is when we are talking about polynomials, and we are going to be adding polynomials. Now, I will not be adding 2x to the third plus x squared or x squared plus 12. I can't do it that way because, hopefully, as you remember, we cannot, those are not like terms. We cannot add terms that are unlike. Okay, we can multiply them, but we cannot add them or subtract them. So I'll show you in just a moment what we mean. But if you'll notice on your lesson, on page 557 is where it starts. In the lesson plan, I'm not having you do any of the first half of the assignment. I don't feel that's as critical for us right now. I really want us to get into the actual work of it. I feel like the first part would kind of just be maybe a little not necessary or just busy work for right now. So I don't really want to give that to you guys. So we're really starting around number 17 there and starting to kind of unpack what it means to add and subtract polynomials. So I'm going to show you an example of how to add polynomials and then an example of how to subtract polynomials, and I think that will be sufficient for you. I'm going to be pulling these out of the book, and so if you want to follow along with those examples as well, you can. The first one I'm going to do is example 3. You see letters A and B, so I'll just pick one. It says to find the sum or to add the polynomials, and I'm on page 555. So the problem is 2x cubed minus 5x squared plus x, and that's in parentheses. So 2x squared minus 5, or 2x cubed minus 5x squared plus x, plus, and also in parentheses, 2x squared plus x cubed minus 1. And so I have one polynomial, addition, another polynomial. So I'm adding these two polynomials, okay? And it's really as simple as that. All I'm doing is going through and looking to find like terms, to combine them or to add them, and then I'm going to basically simplify that expression. So what that means is I'm going to, let me erase this real quick. And I'll explain why a little bit more. These are in parentheses when I show you the subtraction example, but just notice for now that these examples are in parentheses, as will be all of your problems when you do your homework or your practice. But I see a term of x cubed, but I don't see another x cubed here, but I do see one here. So it doesn't matter if it's not the first one, just know that I'm looking for like terms or common terms to combine or to add. So I have 2x cubed plus x cubed. That is the same as 2x cubed plus 1x cubed is 3x cubed. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cross those out because I know I'm done with them. And then I have, oh, see, look, I did. That wasn't right. 2x squared, that should say that. Cross that one out, my bad. So that one's done. And then I see I have an x squared unit here, and I happen to have another one here, so I'm going to add those and only those together because those are the only like terms that I have. So I have not 5x squared, negative 5x squared plus 2x squared. So the terms, or excuse me, the variables in the exponents, the base, that will stay the same. The coefficients are what I'm changing or what I'm adding or subtracting, and in this case adding. So negative 5 plus 2, or negative 5x squared plus 2x squared is negative 3x squared. Negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3, and then I just bring down my x squared. I'm going to cross those out because I'm done with those. And now I have an x and I have a negative 1. Those are not like terms, so I cannot combine them. I cannot add those, okay? So I'm just going to bring those down as separate terms as part of this simplified polynomial. So I'm going to bring down my x plus x, and then my minus 1. So that is, I don't know, that's crooked, sorry, you know me. I'm always writing crooked. So that is going to be my answer. 3x cubed minus 3x squared plus x minus 1. That's it. I just added this polynomial to this polynomial by combining like terms, and this is as simplified as it gets. And I know as simplified as possible, or as, I guess, reduced as possible, or the most basic form, because none of my terms are the same. I have an x cubed, an x squared, an x, and then nothing, just the coefficient. So if this was 3x cubed minus 3x cubed, then I know I did something weird and I need to go back and check it out. Then I have to reduce again. But again, all of these terms are different, and so that is my reduced or simplified polynomial. Okay, that's your answer. All right, let's do another example. One more additional one real quick. I know that's, I think probably for most of us, pretty straightforward, pretty simple, but just to make sure you've got it, example B on example 3 says 3x squared plus x minus 6, keeping it in parentheses, and again I'll explain that in just a little bit, plus x squared plus 4x plus 10. Right? Okay. So, again, same thing. 3x squared plus x squared is, that's the same as 1x squared, right? So 4x squared, and I'm just going to cancel these off as I go so I kind of just don't get confused there. X and x, so 1x plus 4x is positive 5x, bam, bam, and then negative 6 plus 10 is positive 4. So my answer is 4x squared plus 5x plus 4, and that should check out in your book there. Okay, so if you have any questions on that, email me, text me, it's all good, but that's as simple as it gets, adding polynomials. Okay. Now, subtracting polynomials is simple. It's just a little different, and I want to show you how. So on the subtraction example, we're going to look at example 4 on page 556. Let's look at letter, let's just take letter A. So it says 4n squared plus 5 minus, parentheses, negative 2n squared plus 2n minus 4. Okay, and that's, there we go. Okay, so same principle, except instead of adding, I am subtracting. And if you remember, when you have a subtraction sign outside of the parentheses, what it does is it changes the sign, every sign of operation inside that parentheses for each term, because having a negative or a subtraction sign out here is the same as saying -1 times each of these. Okay, when you multiply each of these by -1, the term stays the same, but the positive or negative sign will change, right? And so I can just rewrite this as 4n squared plus 5. Just keep that the same. Oh, there's my daughter. Sorry. Hold on. Hold on. 4n squared plus 5. Shh. Hold on. Minus -2n, so that's, or 2n squared, so that's plus 2n squared minus 2n plus 4 is how that kind of works out. And now I can just do what I did last time and combine like terms. So 4n squared plus 2n squared is 6n squared. Cross those out because I'm done. And then the only n that I have, the only variable here or term that is with the same base is this one. So I'm just going to write it out here. I don't have to combine it with anything because it's the only one there. And then 5 plus 4, those are like terms. And so I'm going to put plus 9. So it should be 6n squared minus 2n plus 9. And that is what you'll see there in the book. So that is the polynomial, the answer when subtracting these two polynomials. Okay. And just one more example of that real quick would be letter B. So it says 4x squared minus 3x plus 5 minus parentheses 3x squared minus x minus 8, I think is what I have there. So again, the subtraction sign changes every positive to a negative and every negative to a positive that's in this second set of parentheses. So I'm just going to rewrite it here. 4x squared minus 3x plus 5 minus 3x squared plus x plus 8. Alright, and now I'm just going to combine my like terms. 4x squared minus 3x squared is 1x squared, or just x squared. Negative 3x plus x is, or negative 3x plus 1x is negative 2x. 5 plus 8 is 13, right? So x squared minus 2x plus 13. So there is adding and subtracting polynomials. You can see the problems that you need to do on the lesson plans, and tomorrow is just more continued practice of this. Those will be the screenshots that I put up on Sycamore that I referenced in my lesson plan. So if you have any questions, again, call me or text me or email me, whatever you need to do. Replay this video. If I did a terrible job explaining something or went too fast, or maybe you missed something, go back and recheck it on the video, or again, hit me up. All right? See you guys.